In 1910, something extraordinary happened in a small village called Hollywood, California. A filmmaker arrived with his camera crew, set up on an empty lot, and created something that would change entertainment forever. But here's the mystery. For nearly a century, the general public had no idea it existed. The film industry, the world's historians, the textbooks everyone studied, they all gave credit to someone else. They believed a different story, and the truth remained buried. Today, we are going to uncover this mystery. We are going to reveal how Hollywood's very first film was erased from public memory, how a more famous filmmaker stole its spotlight, and why it took 94 years before anyone really paid attention to what actually happened. And when you learn the truth, you'll realize that everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's origins is incomplete. There's a real story underneath, and it's far more interesting than the myth. It's called In Old California. 17 Minutes. Silent film. Released in 1910. Directed by D.W. Griffith, one of the most important filmmakers in cinema history. The film starred Marion Leonard, Frank Powell, Arthur V. Johnson, and Henry B. Walthall. But what makes it remarkable isn't the cast. It's what Griffith did with it. The story is simple. A young woman inherits her father's land during Spanish colonial California. Villains try to steal it. She fights back and chooses her own path, a revolutionary idea for 1910, when women rarely had agency on screen. But the real innovation wasn't the plot. It was how Griffith filmed it. He shot the entire thing outdoors. No studio, no artificial sets, just California's natural landscape, mountains, clear skies, real terrain. The camera work was advanced for its time. The cinematography proved something that should have been obvious but wasn't. Cinema didn't need walls. It didn't need a studio. The entire world could be your film set. This wasn't just a movie. It was proof of concept for everything Hollywood would become. And yet, almost no one remembers it today. If this film was so groundbreaking, shot by a legendary director, and set in the place that became Hollywood, how did it vanish for nearly a century? The answer isn't one thing. It's a perfect storm of technical failure, institutional collapse, and deliberate erasure. The technical problem: film itself was dying. In 1910, all film was shot on nitrate stock. This material was a disaster, highly flammable, chemically unstable, and it deteriorated rapidly. Over time, nitrate film literally deteriorates into dust. By the 1930s, studios realized they were losing movies. 90% of all films made in the 1910s have completely vanished. Just gone. Thousands of movies disintegrated. In Old California could have suffered the same fate. A single print, stored poorly, in the wrong environment, that's all it would take. The institutional problem: nobody cared about preservation. The Biograph Company, D.W. Griffith Studio in New York, eventually declined and closed. When it shut down, nobody thought systematically about archiving the films. There was no National Film Registry back then. There was no concept of film preservation. Early movies were seen as disposable entertainment. Show it once, throw it away. Negatives were stored carelessly. Some were damaged. Some were thrown out intentionally. The institutional knowledge of where these films were? Lost. The political problem: a myth got bigger than the truth. In 1914, 4 years after Griffith shot In Old California, Cecil B. DeMille made The Squaw Man. DeMille was brilliant at one thing: marketing. He promoted his film as the first feature film shot in Hollywood. The media loved this story. It was cleaner. It was easier. By the time anyone thought to verify the facts, DeMille's version had calcified into accepted truth. It appeared in textbooks. It was taught in film schools. D.W. Griffith's actual first film? Completely overshadowed. And DeMille had something else: the Edison Trust, a monopoly over film production controlled by Thomas Edison. Independent filmmakers battled this monopoly for control of cinema. In this war, historical narratives mattered. Winners wrote the history. Losers were forgotten. Griffith got famous for his later films, but his role in discovering and founding Hollywood itself? That got buried. The result: 86 years of erasure. So In Old California didn't just fade away. It was systematically forgotten. Film historians didn't study it. Textbooks didn't mention it. Documentaries about Hollywood's birth ignored it. The film was so thoroughly erased from public consciousness that it ceased to exist in collective memory. If you asked a film student in 1995, what was Hollywood's first film? They would say, The Squaw Man. 1914, Cecil B. DeMille. They wouldn't even know there was another answer. That's not accidental. That's erasure. But then, at the very end of the 20th century, something unexpected happened. Film preservationists and historians began an unusual project. They started looking for lost films. They contacted archives. They searched private collections. They dug through old storage facilities. And in one of these archives, someone found something. A surviving print of In Old California. After 94 years, the film that had been forgotten, that had been deliberately buried, had been located. But finding the print was only the beginning. What happened next? How historians verified it? What they discovered about Hollywood's real origins? And how this changed everything? That's the story we explore in part 2. The mystery is about to be solved. If you want to know what happened when this lost film finally resurfaced, what the restoration revealed, and why the official history of Hollywood was completely wrong, make sure you're subscribed. Part 2 answers everything.